What's going on, everybody? Nick Costa here, and in this lesson we are going to be working on the single paradiddle. This is rudiment number 16 from the Percussive Arts Society, Essential Rudiments. So in this lesson you are going to learn how to play the single paradiddle, and you're going to play through a few different exercises to help you incorporate it into your playing. Can't wait to dive into this with all of you, so let's get started. So let's talk about breaking drumming down to its simplest form for a second. When we do that, we are just playing combinations of singles and doubles. Luckily for us, the single paradiddle allows us to play 2 singles followed by 2 doubles. So if you were to start this with your right hand, that means you are playing right, left, right, right. If you're starting with your left hand, that means you're playing left, right, left, left. So instead of saying what hand you are playing in your head or out loud, say the name of the rudiment instead. Paradiddle. That way, when you're at that para portion, you alternate your hands, and when you're at the diddle portion, you play the same hand twice. Side note, if you ever hear a drummer say diddle, it means they're playing the same hand twice. So let's give this a shot. You are going to play the single paradiddle in an 8th note subdivision. Start with the right-handed paradiddle first, give yourself 2 beats of rest, and then play the left-handed paradiddle, give yourself 2 beats of rest. Setting that click at 80 BPM, play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and. So the idea here is to make sure that you get the sticking pattern correct first. Right, left, left, right, left. Once you do that, then really try to focus in on making sure that that first note is accented, meaning that it is slightly louder than the rest. So let's move on to exercise number 2. In this exercise, you are continuing to play paradiddles in an 8th note subdivision. The difference this time is that you are going to play a right-handed followed by a left-handed without stopping in between. That means that you are playing paradiddle, paradiddle. You're going to give yourself 1 measure of rest afterwards and then start that exercise over, starting with the opposite hand. Keeping that click at 80 BPM, play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and. So now that you're getting comfortable playing the single paradiddle, let's change our subdivision. So in exercise number 3, you are continuing to play 2 single paradiddles back to back, but you are playing them in a 16th note subdivision instead of an 8th note subdivision. This time around, you are giving yourself 2 beats rest in between each time, and then starting with the opposite hand. So after you play through a right and left-handed single paradiddle, give yourself 2 beats of rest, and then start over again, starting with the left hand. Make sure that you give yourself 2 beats of rest again, so that way you can start over with the right the next time. We're going to keep that click at 80 BPM. Play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and. Now let's move on to exercise number 4. We are continuing to play single paradiddles in a 16th note subdivision. This time, however, we are playing 4 paradiddles in a row. So the first time through this exercise, you are starting with your right hand, paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Give yourself 2 beats of rest, then do the exercise again, starting with the left hand. Paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. We're going to keep that click at 80 BPM. Play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and. So those 4 exercises will help you get a little more comfortable playing this paradiddle pattern. Paradiddle, paradiddle. This is a perfect time in the lesson to pause the video and work on making sure that you get that pattern down correctly, and also make sure you're working on getting that accent for that first note louder than the rest of the notes. So instead of making that accent louder than everything else, make that accent your normal playing volume, bring everything else down. That's going to help you really have a difference between your accents and non-accented notes. It's also going to make you sound a bit more musical. So once you are comfortable enough playing back and forth between right and left-handed paradiddles with that accent, hit resume and we'll continue. Let's move on to exercise number 5, which is a 4-measure loop. For those first 2 measures, you are playing the rhythm 1 and 2, 3 and a 4. The one thing to think about, however, is when it comes time to play the 16th notes, play a single paradiddle rather than alternating your hands back and forth. So for that first measure, you are going to start with your right hand and it goes like this. 1 and 2, 3 and a 4. Notice that paradiddle is a left-handed paradiddle. Now for the second measure, you do the same thing, but you start with the left hand this time. 1 and 2, 3 and a 4. Notice that this time that paradiddle on beat 3 is starting with the right hand. Now for the next 2 measures, you are playing the rhythm 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4. Just like the first 2 measures, anytime you have 16th notes, play a single paradiddle. So measure 3 goes like this. 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4. Measure 4, however, you're starting with your left hand. 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4. So let's go ahead and put all of that together, keeping that click at 80 BPM. 1, 2, ready, and. Moving on to exercise number 6, we actually now have a 6-measure loop. For those first 2 measures, you are playing the rhythm 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4. Just like the other exercises, the 16th notes on beats 1 and 2 are single paradiddles. That means for this very first measure, you are playing 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4. That's a right-handed followed by a left-handed paradiddle, and then 3 and 4. For the next measure, you are doing the same thing, starting with the left hand. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4. For the third and fourth measure, you are playing the rhythm 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4. That means for the third measure, you are playing right-handed single paradiddles on beats 1 and 3. And for the fourth measure, you are playing left-handed single paradiddles on beats 1 and 3. Those 2 measures go like this. 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4, 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4. Now for measures 5 and 6, you are playing the rhythm 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. That means for the 5th measure, you are playing a right-handed, left-handed, then right-handed single paradiddle. For the 6th measure, you are playing left-handed, right-handed, left-handed single paradiddle. It sounds like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. So now that we've gone through each different section of this exercise, let's put it all together. 1, 2, ready, and. Now that you have played through that exercise on measures 3 and 4, did you make sure that you had accents on beat 4? Although you are playing a continual rhythm of 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4, beat 2 you have a normal tap, Beat 4, you have an accented tap. Let's go ahead and play through it again just to make sure. 1, 2, ready, and. Great! Now that you've made it through 6 different exercises working on the single paradiddle, let's work on a bit of a challenge that incorporates that flam from the first video. So for this challenge, it is just a 4-measure loop. For those first 2 measures, you are playing the rhythm 1E and a 2, 3, and 4. Just like all of the other exercises, when we have 16th notes, we'll play a single paradiddle. But for the beats 3 and 4, we're going to incorporate playing flams. That means for this first measure, you are playing a right-handed paradiddle, left-handed tap, 3 right-handed flams. Goes like this: 1E and a 2, 3 and 4. That second measure is the same exact rhythm, but it's starting with the left hand. 1E and a 2, 3 and 4. Now for the next 2 measures, you are playing the rhythm 1 and 2 and 3E and a 4. For the first 2 eighth notes, you're playing right-handed flams. Second 2 eighth notes, you're playing left-handed flams, followed by a right-handed paradiddle, 3E and a 4. So for this third measure, you are playing 2 right-handed flams, followed by 2 left-handed flams, a single right-handed paradiddle, and a left-handed tap. Here's what it sounds like: 1 and 2 and 3E and a 4. Fourth measure, we do the same thing, but start with the left hand. 1 and 2 and 3E and a 4. So since this is a challenge, let's go ahead and up that click to 125 BPM. Make sure that you continue to stay relaxed and allow the sticks to come off of the practice pad or any drum surface that you are playing on. Let's give it a shot. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. So if you had a difficult time playing clean flams and paradiddles at that tempo, try it again, slow it down. Again, speed is not the end game here, it's consistency and accuracy that we're trying to work on. So whatever tempo that is that allows you to play a clean flam and a clean paradiddle, play it at that tempo. Once you can play through that exercise a few times in a row without making a mistake, up that metronome by 5 clicks, try it again. Just make sure that you continue to play the exercise without any mistakes before you move on to a faster tempo. So now that you know how to play a paradiddle and have incorporated it into your playing, let's apply it to the drum set. So if you have a drum set at home, think about a few different ways that you can play the single paradiddle as either a drum fill or as part of a drum groove. This is where you get to work on your improvisational and musicianship skills. So be creative and think of some new, unique ways to do that. Although I want you to be creative with this, here are a few examples to get you started. So to recap, in this lesson, you learned how to play the single paradiddle. You played through a few different exercises that incorporated the paradiddle into your playing. And then this lesson wrapped up showing you some examples on how to incorporate the single paradiddle as a fill or a groove on the drum set. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this lesson. Hopefully you learned something from it. And until next time, see you later.